Hey everybody, Ryan here at eTrailer. Today on our 2021 Chevrolet Spark, we're going to be checking out the Roadmaster Nighthawk Tow Bar. So before we kind of take a better look at the tow bar itself, I figured it would be good just to kind of touch base and go over quickly some of the components that you're going to need to flat tow a vehicle down the road. So you're going to have a total of 5 main components needed to flat tow your Spark down the road. The first one's going to be your base plate. That's going to provide us with a solid and reliable connection point. That way we can hook our tow bar up to it. The tow bar is going to be that second component. All right, and that's going to be the physical link that connects the front of your Spark to the back of your motorhome. Third main component is going to be safety cables, and these are there in the event of an unlikely disconnect. They're going to keep everything paired together. The fourth main component is going to be tow bar wiring. And what that's going to do is transfer the lighting signals from the back of your motorhome to the back of your Chevy, keeping you safe and legal. And last but not least, the fifth main component is going to be a braking system. And what this is going to do is apply the brakes in your Spark whenever you apply the brakes in your motorhome, helping to bring you to a more complete and predictable stop. There are a couple more components that I would suggest picking up. It's just going to make your flat towing experience that much better. One of them is what's called a automatic battery disconnect. Since the Spark requires you to disconnect the battery whenever you're flat towing, that can be kind of troublesome, having to get your tools out and do that every time. With the automatic switch, all you're going to have to do is push a button. Makes it super easy and straightforward. The other one is a what's called a stoplight switch. Since the battery is disconnected, does not have power when you're flat towing, your factory brake light switch is not going to work properly, okay? And many different braking systems, the majority of the permanent style ones, need a signal from that. And if that's your case, using the stoplight switch is going to provide that signal to our braking systems, and everything's going to flow and work correctly. So whenever you're ready to choose a tow bar for your Chevy, things can get kind of overwhelming pretty quickly. You know, there's a ton of different options available out there, and you might be unsure on how those different features and stuff work on those said tow bars. Well, when it comes to a tow bar, at least in my opinion, this is definitely not the component that you want to kind of cheap out on. All right, this is going to be that physical link, and so it's going to be very important that it's strong and works like it should. So one of the things that's really important is how your vehicle that you're towing is going to track behind the motorhome. Okay, so you know, how's it going to pull? Is it going to be responsive? Is it going to go around those tight turns with ease and things like that? And from what I've heard, the Nighthawk does a phenomenal job at that. And part of the reason is because the overall length of it. Okay, this is one of the really long tow bars, and generally speaking, the more distance you have in between your towed vehicle and the back of your motorhome, the better. Because of that length, you know, when you go into those gas stations or around those tight turns, it's going to be you know, a little bit easier to maneuver around and in those tight spaces, which in turn is going to, you know, make your driving experience that much better and a little bit less stressful. So something really important whenever you're choosing a tow bar is I would highly recommend picking one up that is non-binding, and the Nighthawk is just that. So what that means is whenever you're ready to unhook, it's going to be nice and easy. Because what happens is with any tow bar, whenever you're flat towing it down the road, the arms end up getting locked into position and makes it super tight and difficult to, you know, pull your pins out and free your tow bar from your towed vehicle. It's in a bind. Well, with binding type tow bars, it's going to be a big hassle to release that tension and free them up. A lot of times there's a small little button that you have to push, get a special tool, or a lot of times people end up just getting a hammer out and beating it, and you don't want to deal with that. If that happens here with the Nighthawk, all you're going to have to do is take this lever, pull it up, it will release the tension, and then you're good to go. You unhook it and call it a day. So a non-binding feature, at least in my opinion, is definitely a must-have. Well, and this one has it. Something else that's pretty nice too is the fact that the tow bar comes with a lot of different extras, okay? And that's something that you have to think about, you know, whenever you're choosing a tow bar and setting up your whole flat tow in general. All right, it's going to be a few less components that you're not going to have to worry about sourcing, picking up separately, kind of piecing the whole kit together. So in the Nighthawk's case, it's going to come included with safety cables. All right, so you know they're going to be the proper length, you know they're going to be the proper setup, and you know what weight capacities you're getting with them. You know they'll be properly matched to the tow bar. It's also going to come with the wiring here, as well as the connector. So you'll get that as well. And it just makes sense, you know, everything's here. It's kind of the whole complete package and makes putting everything else together a little more simple. It's gonna have a really clean look to it, and not only appearance-wise, but functionality as well. It has these channels here on the bottom of it for your cables and your electrical to pass through. So not only does it, you know, keep everything looking organized and whatnot, but it's also going to keep those cables and stuff up away from the ground. That way you're not going to have to worry about them dragging, getting hung up on something, or damaged, which is always nice. The tow bar itself, these things are pretty tough. I mean, it takes a lot to really try to beat these things up. It has this cool finish on it, actually. It almost feels like plastic. That's how thick it is, but it's not. So these things can really take a beating, and, you know, chances are pretty good this will probably be, you know, the last, if not the last, tow bar that you would ever need. Something that is a little different, you don't see on too many tow bars, is the fact that we have some LEDs here. So at nighttime, we cut the lights on. These are going to illuminate, and definitely not a bad safety feature to have, especially with today's distracted drivers. You know, a little bit of light here can make a difference, you know, from them trying to get in between you or whatever the case may be. And not to mention, I think they look cool too. You know, you get to kind of show off your tow bar, and you know, separate yourself from the rest of the pack a little bit. So this thing's going to be super easy to disconnect and hook up, since it has the quick connect style. It's going to work with a lot of Roadmaster base plates, potentially other ones as well. They make adapters on here that allows you to pair up with a different manufacturer base plate. You can see that and find those here at eTrailer. But all you're going to have to do, pull the pins. That's all there is to it. You know, when you're ready to hook up, line everything back up and put that in. So super easy. You know, I don't really think it could get much more straightforward. The tow bar also stores very easily. Okay, so you can keep it on the back of your motorhome. If you disconnect it from your vehicle, you're just going to undo everything. I like to keep these pins with it. Kind of bring it together, lift it up. It can be stored in this keeper here, and then you can bring it down to one side or the other, whichever one you prefer. So really convenient. It's perfectly acceptable to keep this on the back of your motorhome like this, if you want to. If that's what you plan on doing, I do suggest not only picking up a lock, that way it'll be secure, no one can just run off with it. And I'd also recommend picking up a cover. That way it can go over the tow bar and kind of give you an extra layer of protection, you know, to keep the weather off of it. So at the end of the day, tow bar you really can't go wrong with, you know. Honestly, my opinion, definitely one of my favorites. Super easy to use and looks really awesome as well. And that'll finish up our look at of the Roadmaster Nighthawk Tow Bar on our 2021 Chevy Spark.